those who are not approaching the arts as a profession can still have an effect on within their circle, you know.
Yeah.
If you know, once upon a time, and I'm sure in some places in this country it still happens, you know, people would sit on a porch every night and play music together, and it brought communities together. And in some cases, in some of those communities where that was just a common thing, it led to some people who were real standouts and, you know, became stars, and affected lots and lots of people. But that exposure to the arts and just using the arts even as just personal therapy or personal a hobby even is still quite valuable. Reaching small audiences, even on a semi-professional level, still has value. You know, be it a small community theater or you know, putting some artwork online somewhere, you can still reach someone and affect them in some way. And if you have the calling to do it, you should, in whatever capacity, because it's great. It's good for you, and it's good for somebody out there. Somebody out there will connect with what you do and be affected by it in some way. You know, I happen to be one of those people whose goals and career drive has been to do this as a profession and to grow as big as I can and reach as many people as I can in my art. But and that's just my calling, you know. But it doesn't at all diminish the fact that somebody could, you know, have a really great performance in a small community theater in a tiny little town that could move somebody to tears and change their life. That can happen. So if you're not there, it's not going to. If you don't bring out what's in your heart and put it out there, then nobody's benefiting from that, and neither are you. And that so it's important, whatever part of the arts you're in, and how and to whatever capacity you're going for it, that you do.
One of the first times, Eric, that and going off of that, one of the first times I can think of, I remember one of my first memories of bringing value to people was I was about 10 years old, so fourth grade. These books, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, movie was recently made about them. I didn't like the movie, but you know, I know I'll get criticized for that, whatever. I'm not a fan of.
We are actually allowed to have our own likes and dislikes. I've learned that over time.
That's true. That's true. So well, I didn't like that movie. There you go.
Fair enough.
I feel it could have been done differently, but that's all I'll say about that. But so 1990, 1991, around there, I fell in love with these short stories in these books, part 1, 2, and 3. I start writing my own short stories. I start sharing them with classmates, right? And so we would have kind of like this Goonies club. You know, we didn't call ourselves the Goonies or anything like that, but you know, we'd go around to the backside of the cafeteria, over by where the water meter was, you know, and like that was that part of the school area or the school yard that like no one went to. Well, I was about to touch my face. So anyway, I tell my stories there in the corner for anybody who wanted to, you know, I wasn't charging, but I tell the stories that I wrote, that I started writing. And then eventually it became a little cohort of, you know, people that were enjoying my stories. And so I like telling them, I like the reactions from them, but it hit me when one day, one of my classmates, she said, you know, I remember she was getting some chocolate milk and walking by me during lunch one day that I wasn't telling the story. It was just a regular lunch. And she said, Edgar, when are you going to write another story? When are you going to have another story for us? And I thought, like you know, somebody likes that. And so yeah, you know, like it's about, and you know, like again, in terms of value, I didn't think about it in terms of value. I just thought like, I like doing that, and I like that they like it. And so, you know, I think this dialogue is good, Eric, because I mean, the way you bring to the table the phrase value, and the value that we bring as artists to the world. I mean, the value that you know, actors and actresses bring, even here locally.
Sure. And anywhere locally. I mean, and any part of the arts. I mean, yes. You know,
and any part of the world for that matter. I didn't mean to relegate it to just to Tucson.
Certainly.
I mean, I think it's a great point to think about it in terms of value. Like, what am I bringing? What am I bringing? It's like we were talking about also film inspiration. I reignited it, I guess, if you will, because I saw some people struggling with the whole social isolating thing. So I thought, okay, film inspiration, and I had never stopped. Well, I'd stopped doing it for a long while, and then I kicked it off again back in February, but that was only on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And I told my wife as recent as last week or the week before, I need to restart this, and I want to make it about people again, other than just me, to where we have robust conversations, where we bring value to the screen. And anybody that wants to take away some value from what any of my guests, you in this case, Eric, bring to the table, that makes me nothing but happy. Because in that way, I never expected to, discover Zoom and all of a sudden put out a post like, hey, who wants to talk about, how COVID-19 has affected your life? More responses than I thought I could handle. Barely handling them, but I'm handling them. Thankfully, a lot of people came forward. But again, this is the value that I am very happy to bring to the table. Is it a short film every night? No, that's a whole lot more work, the creative side. But it's value in a sense, because I've got you here on the screen with me, Eric. You're an extremely talented actor with a very robust amount of years of experience. I mean, what's better than that? And so, yeah, the value that we bring to other people. And if you think about it in terms of value, you'll find that if you don't already see that value in yourself, that maybe you can take it upon yourself to create that value.
Yeah. And again, I've already said this, but I mean, that has gotten me through some tough times. It's one thing to live for what do I want. It's another thing to live for, what do other people around me need, and it's another thing entirely to live for what is my mission, what is it that is important that I'm called to do.
Yeah.
And whatever that is, that can often be the thing that gives you that extra drive, that extra oomph, that extra strength to get through difficult times, be it intense boredom or excruciating pain or anything in between. So let's not forget that sense of mission, because as creators we have that too, just as other people who bring great value to the world have a sense of mission. It does not, the risk level does not compare at all, but as a performer, I've certainly gone through some extremely physically uncomfortable things in order to give a performance, and to the within, of course, reasonable limits, and it was worth it because of the mission, because of the art that was to come out of it. So give yourself that and hang on to it if you need it, and in the meantime, use whatever resources you have to come out of this better, stronger, more skilled, more prepared, better strategized, and perhaps perhaps you can also use this time to give some things that will be meaningful to others, be it a talk like this, or be it a piece of art that you create, or whatever it might be. But you can create that now.
Very true. Very true. Eric, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I can tell you this is going to definitely be segmented into parts 1, 2, and 3. But still, though, an amazing talk. Thank you so much, Eric.
Great pleasure.
Go ahead and send me any information that you'd like me to put out there with regards to your IMDb.
Oh, thanks. I sure will.
Information. I would definitely.
Always good to have people looking at it.
Yeah.
Part of the job too.
I would definitely love to have somebody say, I want to get in touch with that Eric guy. Like, I want to get to know him, maybe a cup of coffee with him for whatever reason. And so go ahead and whatever you feel comfortable.
We can have remote coffee.
That's True, that's right. Oh my God. And I was about to touch my.
Hey, it can still happen. It can still happen. You know, it's just.
But yeah, a remote coffee. So go ahead and send me whatever information you feel comfortable with me putting out there in the description of the video of all 3 videos or 4 videos. And just thank you so much, Eric, for the time, for the value that you brought to this conversation, and just for everything, brother. Thank you so much.
Great pleasure. Really, really glad again to have the opportunity to hop on and talk about some things. And thanks for everything you're doing as well.
Likewise, brother. Well, thank you
Which
so
is a
much.
lot.
Okay, Eric, I will see you later. And by the way, we will be doing updates on, I would like an update as to like
Okay.
what happens, post COVID in your life and whatnot.
It'll be a pleasure.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Eric. I'll talk to you later.
Take care all.